Hello, today I'm going to check out a sci-fi space adventure game, kind of a sandbox style game from 2014. It's Zia Legends of Drift System from Far Off Games, game by Cody Miller. Heard a lot of good things about it, looking forward to checking it out. It's a pretty good sized box. As you'll see, it's got high quality components. The artwork is kind of retro looking, kind of colorful. I think it's well done. It says it plays 1 to 3 hours, ages 13 plus, 35 players. There's also expansions, like Embers of a Forsaken Stars one, and looking forward to trying those out in the future as well. I'm wondering if it might be a couple of games I like are Merchant of Venus and Firefly, the game. Sounds like it might have elements of those and also some combat, so I'll check it out. Sounds like it started as a successful Kickstarter game. And as I go forward, I'll be looking for new games coming out there, Kickstarter and otherwise, that kind of match my interests, so appreciate any thoughts on that. As always, subscriptions are appreciated. Credits: Cody Miller, designer, artist, publisher; Steve, Cole and Tyler, box art, chip models, chip art, gate art; Peter Walken, graphic design, layout, artwork; Justin Howlett, metal coin models, flight stand model; Matt Shinners, senior editor; Tess Miller, photographer. It's a pretty big box, but big enough to hold the components, but not too unwieldy. It's about 11.5 by 17 by 3. Overview. Back of the box gives an overview of components and kind of the idea. Zia is a 3 to 5 player sandbox style competitive space adventure. Each player starts as a lowly but hopeful captain of a small starship. Players fly ships about the system, completing a variety of missions, exploring new sectors, battling other ships. Captains vie with each other for titles, riches, and most importantly fame. The most adaptive, risk-taking, and creative players will excel. One captain will rise above the others, surpassing mortality by becoming a legend. At first, the title seems kind of mysterious. What are Legends of the Drift System? What is Zia? The lore gives kind of overview of that. Legends, of course, are captains that become legends. Drift systems are galactic anomalies located between the spiral arms of the galaxy. Powerful gravitational forces cause their orbits to seem random. They appear to drift. Of the few drift systems in the galaxy, one is inhabitable, which is Zia. The remarkable gravitational and electromagnetic fields in Zia create environments that cannot be found anywhere else in the galaxy. Zia is a pioneer system, not regulated by one of the larger galactic empires. An independent and often chaotic system, being equal parts peril and opportunity. Zia is uniquely suited to a captain such as yourself. At the time of this video, it's kind of pricey to get out there, but I think it's well worth it if you can get a reasonable price. I got mine for like $75, which I thought was a pretty good deal, brand new. So a lot of great components. Of course, the rule book, 20 pages, a lot of detail. And it's, in this review play, I'll kind of mainly show the rules through the play, not going through in detail in the rules book. And then you have ship mats, 18 different ship mats, information on the back, different holes. We'll talk about those in detail. Talk about all this in detail. One fame point track, 21 sector tiles, some cards. You got 18 ability cards, 18 title cards, 3 NPC cards, 52 mission cards, 5 how to win cards, 84 outfit, 7 of each type, 21 miniatures and flight stands, which are unique and very well done. miniatures and flight stands. And several counters and markers. You got victory point markers, 75 cargo cubes, 15 of each color. You have 30 markers, 6 of each color, 4 dice. Got a 6, 20, 8, and 12. 21 exploration tokens, 7 outlaw tokens, 1 replication token, 5 impulse tokens, 5 color tokens, 80 damage cubes. And 40 credits, which are really impressive. I mean, these are metal, like real impressive coins. You got 30 of the silver, 10 of the blue. They have a nice weight and look to them. Very nice. So the components are very well done. And it's got a nice storage solution too. This fits in the box, and you got this one you can take out, or well done. Here's the 18 unique miniatures of stands that come to the game. They're all unique and very interesting. A lot of thought went into those, I can see. And each of them has a ship mat, which corresponds to the image. For instance, this is for Gaiden, which is this ship. And each of the ship mats, you have the name, of course, tier, they're either tier 1, 2, or 3. They call it a holographic image. Price, hold size. Price of the ship, amount of credits the player has to pay to purchase the ship. Hold size, a quick reference how many spaces are in the hold. The impulse space value. This is where the impulse token is placed. The impulse value represents the number of spaces a ship may move without spending energy. Then the hold, the physical capacity of the ship, and this shows the number of hold places, of course. The energy meter, this keeps track of the ship's energy. Arm, disarm systems. Arm spaces are used to hold markers that are currently ready to be spent on outfits. Disarm spaces hold markers that are waiting to be armed. And then bounty. So where you put your bounty credits. Then on the back side, the ship's technical information. Doesn't have any bearing on mechanics, but it's just for kind of game flavor. Backstory. It's kind of adds more flavor to the game. Victory story. You read this after you obtain victory. And these are outfits. They're items that you fill your ship with to move, defend, and attack. They come in engines, blasters, missiles, and shields. They each have a name on them, price and credits required to purchase them. Die indicates the die that is rolled when using it, for instance 12, 8, 6, or 20. These spaces are the yellow items here. That's where our markers are placed when using the outfit to take an action. They limit how many times the outfit may be used in a turn. For instance, this blaster has 2 use spaces, so it may be used twice in one turn. And then sections. The area is divided by the white lines here. Each section takes up one hold space and may hold one damage marker. When you use them, they have to, of course, they have to fit within the holds you have on the ship. It's kind of self-explanatory, but you can't have a combination where they don't fit. Then tokens. First of all, there's these tokens that can be used as visual aids. You just slide them onto the stand in different colors to differentiate the different players. Then there's also this hexagonal one that's to denote outlaws. That's an outlaw token. Impulse tokens. It's double-sided, front and back. So at the start of the player's turn, it's face up, yellow side, on ship map. When it's used to make a move action, it's flipped face down to show the impulse has been used. Then there's one victory token, one replicator token, and there's several exploration tokens. Captain might make a discovery that increases fame or credits. So different types are, this is the backside, you flip them over. There's some that are 1,000 credits, some give you a fame point, and some you don't get anything. And there's markers, damage markers, and cargo cubes. There's 80 total damage markers. These markers are 6 of each color. Cargo hold, there's 15 of each color. These markers are used to track fame and energy, and also to use outfits. Used to track fame on the fame point track. At the beginning of the game, the players decide how many fame points are required to win, and each player keeps track of theirs. That's the fame point track, and you get a victory by accumulating enough fame points. And at the beginning of the game, players decide the number of fame points needed for victory. You can get fame points in different ways. You can explore, get a fame point, complete missions. Each completed mission is worth a fame point. Combat, destroying another ship is worth fame points. Any player that destroys a ship receives a number of fame points equal to the destroyed ship's tier number. Trade, selling all cargo cubes in a ship's hold is worth 1 fame point. You must sell a minimum of 2 cargo cubes. Ships, purchasing a new ship during the business phase earns the player 1 point. Wealth, players may purchase fame point during the business phase for 5,000 credits. Kindness, rescuing a stranded player is worth 1 point. Titles, claiming titles is worth 1 point. 2 points or 3 points, depending on the amount stated on the title card. Luck, whenever the player rolls a natural 20 for any of their D20 rolls, they receive 1 fame point. Each of the 18 ships has a unique ability card. And here's for the user tiger here. Basically it's rapid tactical recalculation is its ability. Immediately after rolling any die, spend 1 energy and re-roll. This ability allows you to re-roll any one of your own die rolls. You must take the new result, and shows the energy cost. After use, place card face down until refreshed. For the puddle jumper, it's an energy scoop. Collect ambient energy from space. As an action, roll a d20. 1 to 4 nothing. 513 receives 2 energy. 1419 receives 3 energy. 20 receives full energy. Then there's also a bunch of mission cards. And then when you complete the missions, you get different benefits. For instance, assassin, target, second player on your left, hunt, find and destroy the target ship. Payment determined by the tier of the targeted ship, shown here. Deliver corpse. Outpost 338. Shuttle, transport passengers, pick up passengers, location. Payment determined by shortest flyable distance from pickup to delivery, shown here. Deliver passengers to Tiger Escape. Then there's 3 NPC non-player character cards. It's the Merchant, Scoundrel, and Enforcer. And for example, the Merchant's cargo hauler shows the trade route. Place the merchant on second planet in the train route to be discovered. Then how it moves. Wealth. Defense. To kill. What happens on the kill. Then a player turn, how to win card for each player. Title cards. So you receive these titles when you achieve these levels, when you achieve these actions. Destroyer. To claim this title, be the first player to destroy 2 enemy ships in 1 turn. Once claimed, this title grants immediately after rolling an attack. You may re-roll one of your dice. As the play progresses, the map is developed using these sectors, which are shown here. They're comprised of a lot of individual hexagons. Each has a unique name and type. Mission point. This is a space used to draw and complete missions. Spawn point. Space used to spawn and respawn ships. Exploration space. This is where exploration tokens are placed. Then symbols on the edges here. These are used to align hexes when new ones are added. For instance, in this case, this sector would be added at this location so that the symbols match up. That's the only purpose of the symbols, is to figure out where to place sectors. And there's a lot of special rules for borders, and there's special spaces, and then there's space distance and sector distance. Spaces are the individual spaces, and sectors are distant. Some examples of different borders are, normal borders would be no borders. There's stars, asteroids, which on a 1 in 10 you get damage when you go across the barrier. Planetary shields. This is the planet entrance, and these are the shields. If you try to go across you can enter through the entrance, but if you try to go across the shield, it's 1 to 10. Can't move. And you take damage. 11, 17 you have to pay to cross, and 18, 20 you cross. Then there's also nebula, where you roll a d20, and on a 1 in 10 you lose energy. There's also debris. Roll a 1d20 when you enter. 1 to 3 is ships destroyed. 4 to 20 you pass without consequence. Then there's always also gates. You can also use gates. Spend move to travel to any other gate. And so we'll review the components, and I'll demonstrate some aspects of the rules as we do setup and play. Okay, set up and play here. I'll be doing 3 players. So first of all, you take and shuffle the sectors face down, and then you take 1 for each player. Since I'm doing 3 players, so I'll do take the first one, and then you line up the symbols here, for instance. And then in the order you're doing it, you line up the symbols. So you're lining up with this one now. Line up the symbol. You'll notice the symbol on this one doesn't line up, but what matters is you're lining up the one from where you're attaching to. Then you randomly mix the exploration tokens and put them on the exploration spaces of the different sectors. Shuffle the mission and title cards and place them face down. Then you have the cargo cubes, damage markers, outfits and credits ready to go, and the dice, and this removable part of the kind of storage insert is very useful for holding those parts of the components. Then each player randomly draws one of the NPC cards, and player 1 will get the merchant, player 2 the enforcer, player 3 the scoundrel, and then you have the corresponding miniatures of those. Then each player gets 3,000 credits of these awesome metal coins. Put the fame point track up, decide the number of victory points, all players agree, and they agree that they'll go with victory points of 10, which is a proficient prowler. So the first person to 10 fame points wins. Then divide the ship ability cards into tier 1, 2, and 3. You roll dice to see which player goes first. Player A goes first. Then each player goes through and chooses which tier 1 ship they want. A chose the puddle jumper, which is an energy scoop, and depending on your d20 roll, you may receive more energy. B chose the ghost stalker with a disruptor field, and you spend 2 energy and roll a d20, and you may pass through planetary shield borders depending on the roll. And player C chose numerator, which has an afterburner. Spend 1 energy, and then depending on your die roll, you add to your engine roll. And the players place their miniatures on the spawn point nearest to them. And when you set up the initial sector tiles, if it doesn't have a spawn point, you reshuffle until you get a sector tile that does. But here they're placed on the spawn points. And take the ship mats, put the markers on there. Put 1 marker. You just choose the marker set corresponding to their color. And I put these colors on the stands to tie to the different players. They're very useful. So green, which is player A, puts his marker on the maximum energy, puts 4 on the armed, and puts 1 on fame point 0 on the fame point track. Then similar, the others do the same. And they put a active impulse marker on their cards. Then they also have the ability cards for their ships, put the credits on there, and have the NPCs that they drew. And then go in the same order in which they chose ships to outfit their ships. What I ended up deciding to do for the initial outfitting, I felt each of them should at least have an engine and a blaster. A blaster allows you to attack items next to you. Missiles are from ranges from 2 to 6 hexes, but I felt they should each have a blaster and then have an engine as well, so that they can use something other than impulse. So they both have that. These 2 are allowed they can have a shield and also have one cargo space. So they spent 1,000 for their engine blaster shield. So they use their credits. They have one cargo space. Same here. Engine blaster shield, they have one cargo space. On the Ghost Stalker, if they would have had a shield, they wouldn't have any cargo space. So I'm going to take a bit of a chance with him and just have a blaster and engine and no shield. But he's got 1,000 credits remaining. Here's a turn overview. So player's turn consists of 3 phases. Action phase includes fighting, flying, using abilities, collecting, trading, and working on completing missions. The player will use the inherent abilities of his ship, outfits he has equipped in his ship, and his bonus abilities from ability cards to take actions. A player may continue taking actions until he cannot or does not wish to take further actions. When a player is done taking actions, he may move to the business phase. And the business phase, while on a planet. Business phase only happens if player ends his action phase on a planet space. The business phase includes recharging, repairing the ship, buying, exchanging outfits, and purchasing a new ship or fame points. If the player is not on a planet, the business phase is skipped. Then status phase. The player's turn will always conclude with a status phase. During this phase, the player rearms his markers, refreshes abilities and impulse, draws titles, counts fame points, and possibly claims victory. After the player's status phase is completed, his turn is over. Play continues clockwise around the table with the player sitting to their left. The player that chose his ship last goes first to begin the game here, and that'd be the blue player with Ghost Stalker. Start the action phase. And actions you can take are move, engines or impulse, attack, blasters, missiles, or ram. Missions, draw missions, which is a minor action. Mission objectives, complete a mission. And minor actions are actions you can take while you're doing a move and it doesn't interfere with that move. Cargo cubes, you can buy cargo cubes, mine, salvage, harvest, sell cargo cubes, collect cubes, which is a minor action. Explore, scan sector, blind jump, which is a minor. Collect exploration token, it's a minor action. Other ability cards, rescue stranded player, jettison cargo, which is a minor action. And it's a very useful reference chart here in the back of the rules, detailing what you do with different phases and combat fame points and icons and what the different space and boundaries look like. Since he was the last to choose his ship, Ghost Stalker, blue player will go first. And you can do, so there's the action phase, the business phase, and then status phase, starting with the action phase. And you can do as many actions as you want, as long as you're able to complete the requirements of, often it's limited by energy and sometimes arming, and sometimes credits. So you kind of have to keep those in mind. He'll decide to do a move action, and he'll move with his engines. He's got a Mark 22 engine, he's got a 6. He has to arm it. Take one of the armings, put it on the engine, and then you roll a d6, then you roll a d6. 2. A little bit unlucky, you can only go 2. He'll go up here to the debris field. 1, 2. And as he crosses the boundary of the debris field, he has to roll for instant death. If he gets 1 1 to 3 is instant death on a D20. He wants to get across there to do some salvage. He's okay. And he can exit the debris field without any damage. This time he'll use his impulse engines. Flips him over. And he can go 3. He'll go on the salvage here, and a 1 to 3 is instant death. 4 to 20, he gets a cube. He's okay, he gets a cube. That'll put it in his cargo hold. He still has 2 engine marker spaces here, so he can still do 2 movements. So he'll do 1 more movement. Put our marker, another energy spot. Again, his engine is a 6, so we can roll a 1d6. 5. Go up here. Wants to collect this exploration. Wants to collect this exploration marker. 1, 2. Although the exploration marker is in a debris field, he has to roll for instant death. If he gets a 1 to 3, it's instant death. He's okay. Gets the exploration marker. So 1,000 credits. He had 1,000 credits. Collecting exploration token is a minor action, so he can still keep moving. He wants to check out this mission over here. 3, 4, 5, so that's the end of his movement, but he's on a mission space. He gets to draw a mission. It's a minor, but he's done with his movement anyway, so he draws the mission card. For mission cards, you draw the top 3 from the pile and you choose which one you want. There's a thief, where you make a theft attempt on a player. A research, where you venture to take a skate and try to get some data. And there's also a research where you get some data on the Lenari. And Tigger Skate isn't here, and he doesn't want to deal with another ship right now because he doesn't have any shields. But this research is on Lenari, so he'll take that mission. If he goes to Lenari, you can get anywhere from 1,000 to 5,000 credits. He has 1 more movement allowed, and he'll do that. Take another, use his last movement marker spot. Hopefully he'll get a big roll. Nice, he got a 5. You can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He could go in through the... It's a lawful planet. He could go through the entrance, but he also has his special ability is he's got a disruptor field, and he can fly undetected through planetary shields, so he could also go through the shield on a successful roll. And you might want to do that because, I mean, these hexes are on the planet, so once he gets there, he's on the planet, and he can complete his mission. But if he can go here instead of there, then it'd be closer to the mission token here. So he'll do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then he rolls to see if he can get through the shield. On a 1d8, he can't pass through. On 9019 he can pass through once, on a 20 he can pass through twice. 9. Just made it. He's able to pass through the shield. And my interpretation is, since this hex is partially on the planet, he's on the planet. So if you're in the planet space, you're on the planet. That's the last movement he can do. Now he can complete a mission. His research, he had to fly to Lunari. He succeeded in doing that. And now he rolls to see how much credit he gets for the data he obtained. 11. Excellent data. 3,000 credits. That's 3,000 credits. Turns in that mission card. And he also gets 1 fame point for completing a mission. That's all he'll be doing this turn. Then he goes to the business phase. If you're on a planet, you can recharge your energy for free. And he hasn't had to expend energy, so he's good there. You can repair damage. Tier 1, 1,000 credits. He doesn't have damage. Tier 2, 1,000. Tier 3, 2,000. Buy outfits. You can buy small outfits for 1, medium for 2, large for 3. Sell outfits. Rearrange hold. Or you can buy a new ship for 5,000 credits. Tier 2 ship for 5,000 credits. Tier 3 for 8,000. And he's got 5,000 credits, so he's going to buy a new ship. Which is nice, because when you buy a ship, you also get a fame point. So we'll choose a new ship. You can choose a tier 2 ship. He'll look through and he decides to get the Gaiden for 5,000 credits. And the Gaiden has evasive thrusters. So when taking damage, you can spend 2 energy and roll a d20, and he can dodge either none of the damage or can dodge all the damage and somewhere between two. That's the end of the business phase, and again, you can only do the business phase if you're on a planet. Then status phase, you claim the fame, and you got 1 fame for completing a mission. So you move up here. Got another fame for buying a new ship, so now he has 2 fame. Draw titles. You only draw titles when you get on the title area here. So once he goes to 3 fame, there will be a title marker drawn, and then they compete to see who can get that title. And the titles have various things, like, for instance, destroy a ship that's a higher tier than your own, and you get abilities or get fame. Refresh abilities and impulse. Yeah, it's a new ship, so I assume it comes fully stocked. But if it was his old ship, he'd shipped his used impulse to a usable impulse. And then I'm assuming since he got a new ship, everything's armed. But if he was the other ship, you would take you would move off your arm markers to disarmed, and then if you're in space, you'd have to spend 1 energy point to move that to armed. But if you're on your planet, you don't have to spend energy points to move that up, because energy is free on the planet. And then if his non-player card is activated, he would move it. We'll check out the non-player card. He has the Enforcer, and it only comes into is only activated when Kempler 2 is discovered, and then you place the enforcer on it. And then it talks about what targets it acquires and how it moves, but that's not active yet, so it doesn't move there. And then we'll move on to the next player. His turn. Now it's green player's turn. The puddle jumper. He's gonna move. And his special abilities are he can collect ambient energy from space. As an action, you can roll a d20, and 1 in 4 nothing happens, but other than that, you get some energy. From 2 energy up to full energy. He'll do a movement right now. He'll arm one of his engines. He's got a D6 engine. 3. He wants to do a blind jump. It's a minor action, but you have to accept the consequences. Instead of taking action to scan, he's just going to jump there, and he's going to jump to this spot. Take a random sector tile. It's a nebula. You line up the markers. And he jumps right to the nebula, so he has to deal with the consequences. When you jump through a nebula, you roll for energy loss. On 1 to 10, you lose 1 to 10 points of energy. On 11 to 20, you're okay. He's not too worried because he has that energy scoop, but he can also activate his shields to reduce that, and he'll do that. He'll arm his shields. Rolls to see if he loses energy. 2, he does lose energy, but his shields are armed. Then we see how much the shields absorb. They absorb 6, so even if he would have took 6 damage, the shields would have absorbed that, so he's okay. That's the end of that move. He's going to go up here and harvest. There's also an exploration just there. He'll go on his impulse now. So he'll flip the impulse over. Can't use that anymore. He can go for an impulse. Getting an exploration marker is a minor action, but getting harvest is a major, so he'd have to stop on harvest. So he'll get the exploration marker first. Sees what it is. Gets fame point. And then on 4, he can go to harvest. On a 1 to 10, he loses energy. 1 to 10 points. 11 to 20, he gets a resource cube. And he gets a resource cube. 3, the resource cube he got is a plasma, and the other types are orange is spice, translucent pink is holo, green is terra, and purple is cyber, but he got a plasma. He's going to proceed over here with the idea of attacking this ship. Gonna do another movement. Four. One, two. Gets a mission card. The 3 different missions you can choose from are Smuggler, which is pick up at Burning Horse. Shuttle was pick up a passenger at Expediter Gate. Research, you fly to Vortex 86. And none of these are currently on the board, so he'll just take the research one and see if that one pops up. And now he'll combat Numerator for his action, because he's right next to him. He's got a blaster. Blasters can attack items adjacent. Missiles can attack 2 to 6. It's a little bit risky because he can only arm one of his blasters because he only has one left. If he had more than one, he could arm up to 2 blasters to attack, but he can only arm one. And then the Numerator can activate shields. He'll choose to activate one of his shields. And then you look at special abilities, see if any of them affect offense or defense. And his energy scoop isn't either. And the Numerator just flies faster, but it doesn't give him any combat advantage. And then you roll, since there's no other modifiers, he's attacking with a D6 blaster. So you roll a D6. And the shields on the Numerator are D6. 1. The difference is 4, so he's going to take 4 damage, since his shield absorbed one of the hits. Then he can place them where he wants. He'll put one in cargo, one in an engine, one on the spaces of shields that doesn't take up a use space, and then also one of the spaces on the blaster, but it doesn't take up a arming space. So that's his damage. And then he's used all his arming, so he's gonna stop his action phase there and do business phase. And you can only do business phase if you're on a planet, and he isn't, so he can't do that. Status phase. Claims fame. You got 1 fame point, so he'll advance to a fame point of 1. Draw titles. There's no one's gone on a title fame point area yet, so there's no titles. Refresh abilities impulse. He refreshes his impulse. And now he can use his energy scoop again. I guess you could flip them over and back to show if they're used or not used. But he can use that next turn. Refresh arm markers. You take, since he's in space, you have to take the arm markers off the ship and put them on the disarm spots. And then if you want to arm, you have to expend 1 energy point for each to arm them. Which would be, gets down to 6 energy points now. And then it would proceed to the next player. But hopefully that gives you a sense of how the play is. That's Zia, Legends of a Drift System. from Far Off Games, a game by Cody Miller in 2014. It's got a lot going for it. It's got great components. You got a bunch of thoughtful and interesting miniatures. You get maps to go with them. You can move some non-player character ships around. It's interesting how they do the ship maps as far as arming and disarming components and only being able to fit shapes of components that fit in your hull. It's kind of a neat approach. Obviously it's a sandbox game. There's some theme, but it's kind of obviously a sandbox game. It feels a little bit lighter than as far as intensity compared to games that are maybe a little bit more involved, like the wargaming aspect, like Exodus, Proxima Centauri, or Eclipse, New Dawn for the Galaxy. But it accomplishes a lot, and it's pretty streamlined. I mean, maybe a bit too streamlined, but for a less complex game that covers a lot of territory, it's got a lot going for it. I like how they do the sectors as well. I mean, some of these games we set up the maps, they just have like hexagonal sectors, but this has hexes within a hex, so you do movement within a sector as well. I like how they do that. Components are great. I mean, it's got actual metal coins, which is pretty cool. You get different missions you work towards. I just did it as a one player, kind of mimicking 3 players. I imagine when you get multiple players, there's a lot of some interaction, because actually in each turn you do quite a few things. You can it is interesting how in one turn you can do several different actions, and you might even get a new ship in one turn, for instance. I kind of wish it was a little bit kind of more segmented in turns, so you don't do quite as much in each turn. I guess because I'm just used to other games where it's just games do a little bit less in each turn. It's a good game. I understand I'll also be getting the Embers of a Forsaken Star, which apparently adds a lot to it too, and especially it adds, you can do like a solitaire scenario on that. Looking forward to getting that and trying that. I was impressed. Definitely recommend it if you can get it at a reasonable price. I'll give it 8 out of 10. Thanks a lot.